That was the
Wait, the Buccateers podcast is a proud member of the TSPN, the Time Scoop Podcast Network. You can catch our podcast on a number of outlets, including Google, Apple, Spotify, now YouTube, along with timeskew.com. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube today for Super Bowl champion updates, off-season moves, NFL draft rumors, and much more at Buccateers. Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another fantastic off-season edition of the Buccateers podcast. And we have A Katz stumbling in through the gates late, but I'm your host, Tampa Tones, welcomed in by a plethora of great co-hosts here. We have Cody G in the house. We have A Katz joining us. We have our man, Bucco the Bruce. And then we also have a very special guest who we will bring him in here right now. We got Mike Evans' brother-in-law, the man himself, Scott Nolan, lifelong Patriots fan, now a Buccaneers fan, perhaps after the Tom Brady thing, obviously. Before the Mike Evans thing comes the Tom Brady fandom. A guy doing many great things in the Texas area right now with all their troubles going on with the weather and a lot more down there. Scott, that's a hell of a jersey in the background, man. Glad to have you here tonight. I could already tell you're going to be one of our favorite guests. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here. This is my first podcast outside of the Houston area, so I don't have much to say football-wise, and I'm not a lifelong Tampa fan, but I'm glad you guys having me on.
Yeah, it's fun just to pick a brain, talk sports, talk life outside of sports, talk all kinds of things, especially nowadays in the year 2021, a lot going on. So it's great to have you, and we're welcomed in by some of our other great crew members, Cody G, A Katz, Bucco the Bruce, champions, my fellow champions. How the hell we doing tonight? We're making our way here. It's March, early March, all of a sudden, March 2nd. The calendar keeps flipping. It's already almost been a month removed from our glorious day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to free agency and the draft to start kind of ramping up. Scott, you married into the Bucks family. It's kind of like the mafia. Like once you're in,
Yeah,
I did.
I've been a casual Bucks fan for 6-7 years now. Obviously, this year it ramped up quite a bit, and I'm a Patriots fan. Y'all look at us as like the spoiled brats of the NFL, but I'm 40 years old. I spent the first half of my life struggling, and I hate the bandwagon fans too. So, I get it. I feel not weird being a Bucks fan because, but I mean, this year just everything it just all came together.
Yeah, it really did. Katz, Bucco, fellas, how we doing tonight? We're here to
Man.
talk some good football or some good off season and some good times. How we doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to be back here. Missed the last
Yeah, you've
two.
been ghost, bro.
Yeah, dude. Hey, man. This has been, while the rest of the world is slowing down, my industry is picking up, and I've been working 12-hour days on salaries. So I'm quite pissed off about it. But nonetheless, what we do, what we do. And life gets in the way sometimes. But I'm glad to be here and chop it up with the fellas, man. Let's get it going.
Like before we bring in A Katz, it's like the Dos Equis guy says, stay thirsty, my friends. Stay hourly, my friends. Some good things happen. I've been working through the pandemic, and, it's been nice. A Katz, how we doing, my friend? How you doing tonight? I know you're excited. The face doesn't quite show it after a long day of work, but I know you are pumped, brother.
I've been pumped, man. I mean, this is a fucking best. I feel like it's living like it's 2002 again, man. I almost look like I almost look the same. Well, not really, but yeah. When you're the champion, it's like we said last time with Stank. Every Sunday it's a win. I've forgotten what it feels like. It's the whole off season. There's no game to watch. You can watch, repeat, or if not, you win every Sunday. Nobody can say shit. That's it. It's like, oh, Sunday. Bucks aren't. Well, they're playing. They still win. W. So, yeah. Very
Yes.
coherent, very intelligent thought there by me. But it's true, though.
You're right, Scott. If you don't know, A Katz is Tampa's well-rounded, all-around #1 fan, pretty much.
It's too kind, but thank you.
You name it, this man, Lightning, Rays, Buccaneers, probably the Rowdies, if I had to guess.
I root for them, although I don't really like soccer that much. Although I do root for them.
There you go. I mean, that's more than I could say. I barely remembered their name there. So,
Would you see my new shirt that I picked up? They say don't buy shirts from Facebook and whatnot and all that, but did you see the new one I got?
was that the one with the Rowdies best player, and then Brady, Stamkos perhaps, and
Cooch and Rosarena. Brady's got his arms around Kucherov and a Rosarena, and then the Rowdies player there. Yeah, I was like, you know what? That shirt I gotta have. So I have it. It was worth $26 or whatever the heck it cost.
I've seen one alone. I've seen one of just Brady and Kucherov, and then I've seen the one of Brady, Kucherov, and a Rosarena, and then I've seen the one you got. To me, why not go all or nothing, man? You got to go with the 4 for 4.
I did. You know, it's all the designs are very clever. Whoever made these, it's a very clever shirt, and it's got the all 4 team logos it's written Tampa Bay across the front. So yeah, had to have it.
You got to wear it next pod so we could see it. I love the hats getting represented right now. Those are some great hats. And I got a shirt here, and I bought it the other day from Smack Apparel. Shout out to Smack Apparel. The 813.
Oh, very nice.
Repping. I liked it for 2 reasons. Area code, and it reminds me of Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans with the 813.
Oh, good catch.
You know, it kind of reminds me, and it's the alarm clock numbers design still. So, you know, it's got the feeling of Evans Jackson. I know it's the area code, but you know, I put 2 and 2 together, and I had to support Smack Apparel, proud partners with Buck What You Heard and Jeans. So awesome. I
noticed you got your DeMar Dotson jersey there in the background. You know, I'm thinking he was here for how many years? 9 years? That man, he worked his ass off. I think he was about 6'9". He left 1 year before the Super Bowl. You know what? He put in all that work. I said, let's give him a Super Bowl ring. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
Some of you might. It just came to me. I never read any articles about any team other than Edger and James giving a guy who left a Super Bowl ring. So I'm coming up with this idea all by myself.
I think Vernon Hargraves too, because without him, had he not been so terrible, we wouldn't have known to cut him. Then the defense wouldn't have had such a turnaround, been able to dominate in the playoffs. So, I mean, why stop with Jameis and Dotson? Let's give Hargraves one.
Give him one too, absolutely.
Chris Connie, he probably deserves one. Had he not got stiff arm into oblivion, who knows?
Give Vance McDonald one, the one who got finally rid of Chris Connie. Let's just start giving them to everybody. What the heck?
Don't forget Quan. Quan Alexander needs one too.
Quan Alexander, he needs a lot of things, but yeah, sure, what the heck, why not?
No, we need to give one to Sean Payton too for choking. You know, he lost that big one.
Then a lot of teams owe him a ring then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. You can count on him to help you, help you get to the next level in the playoffs, especially. But yeah, that's a Dotson. You could say the chapter has turned.
He worked hard, man. He really did. In all seriousness, he worked hard. Yeah, he was big Dot. He worked hard for this organization, man. He might not have been the greatest lineman, but he was on some horrible teams.
Was it all of Dotson? Like he got the tryout, and I heard like he wears like a size something just insane cleat. And I heard it was for either the Bucs or for the college team. They didn't have that size, so he did his tryout in socks or sneakers or something like that. I'm pretty sure that story I read was about him. Was
that him or Donald Penn? It might have been both of them, actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I remember reading that and thinking, "Wow, that's wild." He played basketball in college, I think. If I'm not mistaken.
A great athlete. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, this thing's his practice worn jersey. It's pretty big. It's pretty big. It's signed by Dot too, so much love to Dot for that.
Awesome.
I have his game worn jersey from last season as well. I just like Dot a lot. One of those, or not last season, 2 years ago now. Gonna have to get used to that, but nonetheless, we're gonna flip the page here to the Buccateers. We do have Scott Nolan in the house. Scott, we're gonna start off with the great things you're doing for Texas, my friend. Some tough times down there. You're making them better for people. Explain that a little bit and how you're helping the community.
All right. So I know it's easy to laugh at Texas because we got like an inch and a half of snow and the whole state shut down. But I'm from Boston originally. I know snow. I went to college in Vermont. I spent a year and a half in Afghanistan. Harsh winters. We're just not cut out for it down here. Like the building codes, all our highways are elevated to deal with floods, which is a much more common problem. So the whole state was shut down for a week, basically. And there's a lot of people struggling. I mean, I think 150 people died because the power grid shut down and people couldn't get heat and were sleeping in 30-degree houses. And the people who were struggling financially with everything going on, pandemic and the weather, people who were living paycheck to paycheck anyways, can't go to work for a week and then got to pay a plumber to come out and fix their busted pipes or whatever they have to do. There's a lot of people struggling with just basic needs, food, water, sanitation. So, you know, we play a small part. We're a small volunteer group and charity, and we partner up with people, and we've been doing what we can. We did this past weekend, we did an event Friday night and Sunday. Weekend before, we did Saturday and Sunday. And then we did another one Tuesday in the middle somewhere. Just, you know, doing what we can. We're not making a big difference. We can't compete with the Texans and the Rockets and the Astros and all of what they're doing, but you know, every little bit helps. There's a lot of people struggling, and it's going to take them a while to get out of it. So we do what we can. Just the power of connection and people, and those of us who are lucky enough, time-wise and financially, to be able to help out, we do what we can.
Yeah, you're doing great things. A lot of people need it there, or needed it for sure, and hey, snow is snow. You know how, you know, Texas doesn't get snow ever. What is snow? It's in Texas. What is it? You know, so it was really dangerous, weird times. It's much appreciated. God bless you. And, you know, everyone around there and the things they're doing to help the community for sure. So that is just crazy. Hopefully you guys are turning the page. I haven't really checked in lately. How's the weather there? Is it getting for the better?
Yeah. I mean, Cody, I was texting with you last week, like, so we had to call the plumber Wednesday. We had, our garage isn't insulated, so the pipe leading out to our hose spigot bust, and, you know, he had to shut off the water to the whole house. We got a 4-month-old, so that was complicated, manageable, but complicated. And then a week later, it was 80, and we had to call the AC guy because one of the fittings on the AC had busted. And so yeah, we're back to normal. Like we made it through fine. But again, the people who are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, and it's been hard on them, and it's going to take them a while to recover.
Yes, especially when I read people are getting, you know, $8,000-9,000 power bills amidst this mess. You know, you got to, you know, send your thoughts and prayers. But you know, before we end this pod, definitely hit us with a link somewhere we can have the people help donate and help. But we can even talk to some of our fellow podcast members who raised a lot of money for a billboard. Maybe that money can go and help some people out in Texas as well.
All right. I will definitely do that.
Yeah, speaking of the billboard, Bucco the Bruce, that's a great idea, by the way. Guys, we're all going to help, hopefully help if we can get a link in the Buccateers Twitter. You could find it. You could find it in the comments of this video or in the description of this video. But we're going to try and help Texas, hopefully, get a link where you could donate, get a place where you could donate. And we're going to try and help out for sure. A lot of people helped out. Very good cause, but not a Texas good cause. But there was a billboard to be had, and in NOLA, it was all set up. Agreement had. Damn thing was going up. Ain't that the damn truth? Something happened. Knockoff car salesman got involved. Twitter damn near exploded. People lost their damn heads. One thing led to another. Scott tells me about 10 minutes ago this damn thing is no longer going up. But good news is money is going to a great place still. As Bucco said, it sparked the idea of us hopefully donating to Texas. Theirs is going to the Arians Family Foundation, I believe Cody said. Isn't that right, Cody?
Yeah, they had like a poll to either put up a billboard in Tampa or have it go to the Arians Foundation. And last I checked, it was like around 80% people voting. And I think Sammer even said, like, even if the billboard in Tampa won, like whatever was left would go to the Arians Foundation. But like I said, it was like 80% voting for Arians Foundation. So it looks like it's all going to go there.
Yeah, that's great. So little update there. Scott, I wanted to get your opinion on that billboard idea in general before we get into Bucco and Katz's on it. Scott, what were your thoughts when you seen the guys at Loose Cannons constructing a billboard in NOLA?
It was a great idea. It was. And it kind of stinks that it fell through because I love New Orleans. I don't know if y'all have ever been there. It's a cool, fun, unique city, but y'all are more active on Bucks Twitter than I am. Like, that would have been the ultimate laying it out on the table to the Saints fans who, but again, the money's going to a better place. There's got to be a billboard company in Tampa who can and will do that for free when the Saints come there. Imagine whenever the Saints come there next season and they driving up to Ray J and they got to drive past the Weed At with the Bucks logo. Like, there's got to be somebody out there. And the guys from Loose Cannons, I feel like they probably got the connection to make that happen for free or minimal cost. And then rest of the money to the Arians Foundation, and everybody kind of wins now.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think Cam Jordan, though, hold on. Actually, I don't think that's a good idea. They got a lot of crybabies on their team. They might turn that playing around and say, hold on, we're not going to the damn game. They got a billboard. That's not fair. NFL, give us our victory. Hell, why not give them a Super Bowl? They can't win one anyways. No, but for real, Katz, Bucco, thoughts on the billboard? And, it's not going up, but I thought it was a cool little idea. We've talked about it before, but now that it's all sunk in, process is over. Katz, how are you digesting this?
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea as well. Unfortunately, it's not going up because it seems like they can't take their loss, can't take their medicine, can't take their loss like men. That's not surprising. The way Tristan Wirfs treats Cam Jordan like his baby, that's understandable. They're all babies. So unfortunately, that didn't work out, but I'm glad the money's going to a good cause. Echo those sentiments.
I agree there. If I'm the city of New Orleans, I take that money. I could care less what's on a damn billboard. Hey, it's money is money. You're making money at the end of the day. You're doing things. And, if things happen to the billboard that certain advertisement gets bird shit on it, whatever, that is what it is. But you got to make your money if you're a billboard company. But that's their loss. We'll take the gain. We'll use it to a better use. Bucco the Bruce, what's your thoughts?
I mean, I as everyone should agree, it was a novel idea, great way to troll. But let's be honest. I mean, at one point, New Orleans was the murder capital of the world. That billboard will be riddled with bullets the moment you put it up. And the guy who owns that, I'm sure, doesn't want to have to rebuild a whole nother billboard just to troll some Saints fans. So I understand the business aspect of it, not putting it up in that city. But, yes, would have loved to see it. It would have been great.
Yeah, I mean, imagine those New Orleans citizens driving past that every day. It would have been fantastic. Sadly, can't happen, but the Arians Family Foundation will be appreciative. And then speaking of appreciative, Scott has had an appreciative football fandom. He was a Patriots fan for a very long time, obviously started rough. So he was through the rough times, but the past couple decades, they've gotten very good. And now his brother-in-law is Mike Evans. We'll get into that a little more as well. So obviously he has some rooting interests, the Buccaneers, Patriots. So it's interesting. Now Tom Brady's a member of the Bucs as well. Scott, explain that a little bit, kind of the entire process of Tom Brady. And talk about that jersey a little later as well. But Tom Brady going from New England, coming to Tampa, you being a Patriots fan, you being Evan's brother-in-law, it's like it kind of all happened for a reason, for your life of fandom, for your rooting purposes.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, let's make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, two of my universes just collided. It's last season there was a lot of talk of Brady wanting to leave, and I had talked to Mikey in years past, jokingly, like, "Oh, you'd look real good in New England colors. Like, it's a great stadium and the fan base is loyal." And you and I had talked. I jokingly had said to a bunch of friends, like, Brady's going to the Bucs and they're gonna play the Bills in the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay this year because the Bills finally get rid of Brady out the AFC East, and then they have a great season, and then they just get dragged by him in the Super Bowl again. That didn't happen, but I mean, Brady, Gronk, AB, it was. It still doesn't really feel real, if I'm being completely honest. And spoiled Patriots fan, say what you will, but I was more excited for this Super Bowl than I've been for a Patriots Super Bowl in a long time, both in the lead up and in the aftermath. I don't know. Life don't work out all the time, but this year it was just stars aligned. It was crazy. And then I didn't get to go to the game. Obviously, there was limited amount of tickets, which I won't lie and say that I wasn't kind of butthurt about that, because like Kia, my wife, my mother-in-law, they couldn't name any players outside of Mikey, Gronk, Tom, Godwin, and that's about it. They're not football people, but they got to go to the game. But I get it. Like, I've only been around for 6 or 7 years. If I got to go to the game and somebody that has been around since they were kids, Mikey never would have heard the end of it. I never would have heard the end of it. So whatever. Stayed at home with the kids, had fun in Tampa. Couldn't go out. Cody and I were trying to meet, but I didn't, I couldn't be the guy that went out to have a beer with Cody and then came home and gave Mikey COVID, who gave it to Tom, and so.
Yeah, could you imagine if Cody G was a link that disallowed Tom Brady from Super Bowl play? That would have been wild. Cody, come on.
What was that guy's name that caught the foul ball?
Steve
Bartman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cody would have been lambasted like Steve Bartman, bro. Yeah. That would have been Cody.
Go into witness protection.
Yeah, for real. Bartman, I don't know where he lives around. I don't know. He doesn't show his face around here. He still lives in Illinois, I heard, but we haven't seen him. We haven't seen him in a Cubs game. There is a story about him a couple years back when we won the World Series, but man, you could have a whole podcast yourself on that thing. Yeah. And actually that play, because little do fans know, there was a whole lot of bullcrap that the Cubs disallowed before that play even happened, and that play shouldn't even have happened, but that's a whole nother story. The Cubs shot themselves in the foot. Poor guy. All he wanted is a damn World Series souvenir, just like our man Scott wanted to go to the Super Bowl. And there goes Bucco the Bruce. We'll see if we get him back. But just like our guy Scott wanted to go to the Super Bowl, Bartman just wanted to catch that ball.
Yeah.
Things in life that you gotta want. But Scott, I totally agree. It would have been cool if you could have went to the Super Bowl. Definitely, probably. No offense, Kia. No offense, any of Mike's family, but you're probably a bigger football fan than them by far. But
for sure,
I bet your wife was beyond blessed to see Mike win the Super Bowl. Her brother, in his moment of glory, winning that.
Yeah. Yep. She every game that we've been to in the past, they've gotten steamrolled. Even the only game that we went to this year was the last regular season against the Saints when they got fucking rolled. But yeah, she was excited. Key is like, I'm an outgoing guy. Key is kind of low key. She doesn't like being on a camera or even around people and she I think I sent Cody the link when we got back with the local news guy. I'll send it to you in the DMs later. But yeah, she, whole family's excited. Mikey, he's worked his ass off, and it sucked for years. Not that it sucked, but he's a competitor. And to see him and them also happy for all the hard work finally paying off, and so quickly too. I mean, last year was a flop. Most of his seasons in the NFL have been a flop, and then for just everything to shift this year and all the hard work to pay off so great was it was awesome.
Yeah,
no, it really was.
on,
And him and Levante David were the two guys that deserved this more than anyone else on that team.
For sure.
What they grinded through for 7 years and 9 years collectively. And then, just to see the joy when Devin White's outshining Levante David on the stat sheet, or when Mike Evans has his worst statistical career but achieves the pinnacle of success. You could tell he didn't give a damn about them stats. I mean, I know he wanted that record. How could you not want that record? But I could tell he didn't give a damn about those stats and wanted to hold up that trophy, and it was good to see, man. It really was.
He'd give up all 7 of those 1,000-yard seasons for what happens, and the fact that he got both of those and probably basically stamped his ticket into the Hall of Fame with the breaking Randy Moss's record. So it was like I said earlier, it just kind of still feels surreal.
He battled through a lot of injuries from what I could tell this year. I don't know, obviously, the extent of it, but it looked like even before that last game, and he came right back for the Washington game. I remember sitting watching. I was like, oh my God, something great happens to us, and Mike gets hurt. I was like, oh, no. But there he is right back next week. He has, 8 catches, 120 yards, I think, in the Washington game. Yeah. And I think there was probably more injuries he battled through all year. And he always has. He's been one tough son of SOB. He's always been a great blocker. I've never seen, there's a lot of diva wide receivers out there. That's how the position is. Mike never comes across that way to me. Mike and Chris, neither of them. They do what's asked of them. They block. Yeah.
I just want to piggyback on what you said about his blocking. My favorite Mike Evans play is not even a catch. It's when he fucking choke slammed.
Yes.
Bengals player.
That is a beast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was mic'd up that game too.
And
he was talking shit on the sidelines after the play. Like he was excited about that.
He was in the middle of a 2-14 team. You could tell he's always giving it 100. Yeah, always 100%.
I mean, his quarterbacks have been anyone from Mike Lennon to Fitzpatrick to Ryan Griffin for a couple snaps to
Josh McCown,
McCown to Jameis Winston. It's been never ending for the guys. So now he gets Tom Brady, the greatest of all time. And that's no knock on Jameis Winston, the second greatest of all time. But Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, is now throwing it. I almost got through that. But
honorary Super Bowl champion.
JW3, dream forever of, the Super Bowls. But we'll see, we got the greatest of all time. And I'm so happy that Mike could appreciate a good quarterback. I mean, no knock. Jameis did have good moments. Those other guys, Fitzpatrick, Mike Lennon, McCown, Griffin, whoever had some good moments, but nothing like Tom Brady.
Right.
We got real lucky with Mike. Awesome dude in the community, off the field, and dude is a warrior. We were at the game when he broke the record, And that next catch would have been a touchdown, dude. It looked bad. And, like, you know, he stood up, immediately fell back down. Like, dude, the stadium was, I mean, just quiet. Like, it looked really bad. Like, I thought he tore his ACL, something like that. For him to come back as quick as he did is just insane.
Cody, to add on that quick, I was at the game last year against the Colts when he went down, and it was that same feeling kind of when, you know, the crowd seen Mike limping. We were all like, son of a bitch. Like, we were like, you know, world ending, because by that point in time we were competing, but we were out of playoffs. So that was really knowing that we might not have Mike for the beginning of this year because we didn't know the extent of that injury, knowing what that could have been. We really dodged a bullet. Mike, I don't know if you were built. I mean, we know you're built beautifully gifted, but I don't know if you were built with like the strongest bones, strongest recovery structure in this world. But man, we appreciate your quick healing and your big heart and goodwill to keep getting on the field. You know, it's uncanny. You don't see it a lot of days. A Katz, you're 100% right. Non-diva, goes out there, competes every damn week. You don't see that anymore.
And shit, shout out to Scott for getting to reproduce in that gene pool, man. You get to raise you. I got 4 kids. I got a 25% chance one of them does something, but you got a much better shot than me.
Yeah, Scott, you got to keep cranking them out, brother. You got to just, you know.
And I just turned 40 like a month ago.
Hey, no, I'm kidding. Year one will be great, and then it's gonna be fantastic. But for real, Bucco, I think all 4 of yours could be future athletes as well. I've been you know, following Bucco the Bruce for a while now, and I'm sure Bucco the Bruce, with all that sports knowledge in his brain, he's gonna teach his kids some. But Mike Evans, could you imagine just growing up around Mike and, you know, seeing the type of guy he is now? It's like he's always been a fantastic guy at Texas A&M. I know Johnny Manziel was there. Real quick, have you gotten to talk about Mike, about his time with Manziel? And I know a lot of people see Manziel one way, but obviously Mike and him, they had a lot of good moments together.
They did. So, you know, their family didn't come from much. They didn't have much growing up. And Mikey had his oldest daughter senior year of high school or freshman year of college. And yes, he had a free ride to A&M, but still his people didn't have much. So he was struggling to the basic essentials, diapers and formula and stuff. And Johnny obviously comes from a different background, and you know, he hooked him up all through college to help him get diapers and have fun with his daughter. And it's easy to trash on Johnny. I mean, he brings a lot of it on himself, obviously. But from what I have heard and seen of him, I met him once. He's a normal dude. He's a good guy. He comes off as cocky and arrogant, and he is. But you know, all pro athletes kind of have that air about them, and when you get to meet them in life, like in real life, they're real people, you know. And Johnny is a real person. He's got his struggles and everything, but he's a good dude. He's got a big heart. Like I said, he helped Mikey out a lot while they were at A&M. They had a lot of great times together on the field and off the field. Yeah.
Well, you can say Mike paid that back tenfold by getting his ass drafted in the first round, though, because you know all he did was run around and throw 50-50 balls to Mike. That was his whole fucking thing, man. But that's, you know, it's always better to hear the behind the scenes, because, you know, the media portrayal of a guy can be, you know, depicted one way. You know, rich white kid came from money, partying, that's all he cares about. But, you know, to get deeper, you really got to know the guy.
For sure.
That's the story. Media loves to see people fail. That's the story they love to run with right there. They would rather you hear more stories about the failures than you do the successes. Like, you know, you hear more about Johnny Manziel and, you know, all his out the field bullshit than you do, like, people like Mike with, a tough upbringing, but somehow finding a way to make it through and being successful. That's the stories I want to hear about. That's the stories I want my kids to hear about. I want my kids looking up to people like that, not Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
But that's the media.
I mean, like y'all saw the ESPN documentary when Mikey got in the league, it about the rough upbringing and everything. When Kia and I first met, I had no idea who her brother was. And she told me about some documentary that came out that pissed her off so bad. And I was like, am I getting into is she really worried about the elephants or the fucking rainforest or what? Like, I didn't know what documentary she was talking about. And then, a couple months later when I found out who her brother was and what the documentary was about. And, that painted him and them in a certain light, which, I mean, obviously, since he's been in the league, it's a different story. It's a much different story. Yes,
it actually helped the Bucs. If you remember correctly, Buffalo's dumbass traded up in front of us to take Sammy Watkins and let Mike Evans fall right to it. So that actually, helped us out because it was between Sammy and Mike who was the top wide receiver. Obviously, that's been decided at this point. But, those negative media reports, the Mel Kipers and what have you, ranking Sammy above him is what let him fall to us at 7. And I'm forever thankful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my father, who is a Buccaneers fan as well, followed Mike Evans and his upbringing and story, and he's like, man, this guy is just a classy dude and who's just lived a life and he's kept battling and fighting. And my dad has said for the minute we drafted Mike Evans, he said, I love this guy and what he's going to do for this team. And, Mike is just one of those guys who could create a lot of life lessons for a lot of people. And, I love the guy. Like I can't even explain watching him the past 7 years now. It's been fantastic. And I don't really think a lot of football fans don't understand, like, out of that draft class, the eliteness of wide receivers that were taken, Evans, Cooks, Watkins, Beckham Jr. You keep going. But at the end of the day, give me my guy over anybody. At the time, obviously, that was up for debate. As a Buck fan, I was confident in Mike Evans, obviously. But, when you're hearing all those names off the board, Mike Evans really stood out at that time, though, and we really ended up with the right one out of that 2014 draft class. I don't know if you guys remember that class, but, man, that class was loaded.
Wide receivers, yeah, and there were talk about what quarterback we might take and if the Bucs were interested in Johnny Football and how they attended a lot of Johnny Football's workouts, and that's where they discovered how great Mike Evans was. Some reports on that. But I remember Watkins was the name that everyone was looking out for, but that's right. Buffalo did trade ahead of us for him, and that worked out well for us in the end.
Worked out incredible. I mean, that draft ended up seeing a lot of good wide receivers, as I said, but Sammy Watkins went at 4. Evans went 7. Then later in that draft, you had OBJ at 12. Also, I'm going to rattle off a couple more.
Landry went in the second round too, right? Jarvis Landry went in the second.
Kelvin Benjamin went in the back end of the first round.
Not much of a career there.
No, that's what I'm saying. Devontae Adams went in round 2.
Are you sure it wasn't much of a career? FSU Twitter told me it was the greatest ever.
Allen Robinson went in round 2. Could you imagine taking Kelvin Benjamin?
Sorry, Bucco.
Incredible.
Sorry, I know he was. I know. It's not you, man. It's the group I'm referring to.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
You know who I mean.
He had a weight problem. He got as big as a right tackle there towards the end.
I remember that. No, you're cool. You know the ones I'm talking about. The one who want 54 on a 53-man roster. They want 54 Seminoles on it.
No, the only one I still remain pat on is we should have took Dalvin Cook over O.J. Howard. That's the only one. Yeah. All the rest of them, you can have that shit.
Yeah, I'll defer to that one.
Yeah, but could you imagine? Like, such a good receiving class, but we ended up with the right one indeed. Feel bad for Kelvin Benjamin. Sorry, Bucco.
He's the one that didn't work out. I'm sure there were others that didn't, but of the big
No,
names,
well,
he seems
fuck
to be the
'em.
one that hadn't.
Well, once they leave Florida State, especially if they go to a rival, fuck them.
That's right.
Jameis
Exactly.
Winston's dead to me. Kelvin Benjamin's dead to me.
Fuck yes, that's what I want to hear. Speaking my language.
Derwin James can't stay healthy, so why the fuck even talk about him?
Give me Vita Vea any day.
Yeah, I'm
and
good,
Antoine
man.
Winfield Jr. and all our safeties all of a sudden looks like a
It's hard
strength
for
now.
me, like a guy like Kelvin Benjamin, who he basically ate himself out of the league. Obviously lazy, didn't stick to nutrition. And all reports are he didn't work hard. And if you look at him, that's obviously pretty easy to believe. It's hard for me to feel hard for a dude or feel bad for a dude like that. Someone like Derwin James keeps getting hurt. Yeah, that sucks. But you make it the NFL, you're just gonna be fat and lazy about it. I mean, yeah, I will not be losing any sleep over him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Scott. Now I want to ask you something here. Damn it, I forgot what I was going to ask you specifically. But we are here with Scott Nolan on the Buccateers podcast. You could follow him on Twitter at the handle of Scott Nolan 11. And we are talking Mike Evans. We're talking Buccaneers. We're talking the Patriots to the Bucs journey. We're talking the Super Bowl. We're having a great time. We just talked about some clowns from FSU. And now we're going to talk. We're going to open to the floor and talk a little more Super Bowl before we wrap up here. But Scott, you couldn't make it to the Super Bowl. I know you said you wanted to. What did you end up doing for the game then? Did they leave you in your room alone? Were they like, hey, we're going to leave Scott by himself. He's going to, watch the Super Bowl alone. But no, for real, what did you do for Super Bowl 55?
Hung out with the kids. So Mikey's got –
Awesome. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Mikey's got 3 kids. The oldest one went to the game. She lives here in Texas. Actually, no, the oldest 2 went to the game. Araya and Mackenzie went to the game. Amari, talk about pressure. Mike Evans as your dad. Their son is named Amari Thomas Cooper for Amari Cooper, Michael Thomas, and Mike Evans. I mean, talk about some big shoes to fill. So yeah, hung out with the kids, watched the game, had a good time.
Wait, Amari Thomas Evans. And that's Mike Evans' youngest?
Yeah.
And
he just turned – go ahead.
No, how old?
Just turned a year. It's like December 30th or January 2nd. It's right there around the new year.
That's incredible. And he did name him after Amari Cooper and Michael Thomas, or was that kind of just coincidence?
No, that's it.
That's incredible. I didn't know he was close with Cooper or Thomas, but either way, man, that is awesome. And if that kid doesn't have motivation, that's like the one basketball player's name is LeBron Nash. It's got like LeBron's first, and then Bryant for Kobe Bryant, and then Nash for Steve Nash is his last name. It's like names like that you can't disappoint.
Yeah. And Amari, like, he built like an offensive lineman. Like, he's a house for a 1-year-old. He's huge.
Yeah, man. No, my favorite name is the dude at LSU, the coldest to ever do it, Crawford. I can't wait to see this kid play. I cannot wait to see this kid.
What a name.
Yeah, I mean, there's some incredible names in sports, but – in general. So Scott, hanging with the kids for the Super Bowl, that's incredible. Did you end up getting to see Mike that night then, or did you not see him till that next day?
Next day.
I'm sure he was out with the team. And
yeah, they all went out afterwards. So yeah, didn't see him till the next day. Hungover.
I hear that aquarium party was live as fuck though.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
We were, you know how they pulled the fuckery with the parade? Like, they announced that if they won, it was going to be on Tuesday, but then everybody got mad from all the video from, like, Ybor City and everything. So the mayor was like, oh, we're going to do it on Friday. And then Tuesday at, like, 5 o'clock, they were like, oh, it's going to be on Wednesday. We were thinking about changing our flight to stick around for the parade, but we left on Tuesday.
Yeah, and that was I know all that, back and forth between the mayor wanting it one day and whatnot. It screwed some people over, but it looked like a hell of a parade. Katz was there. I'm sure he could tell you.
It was. I don't know what was going on with all the scheduling issues, because the Lightning one was, they picked a time and it was a lot smoother. I guess in fairness, I know there was some talk about players wanted to get back to their homes that don't live here in Tampa, so maybe that went into the scheduling, or maybe they used that as maybe the mayor used that as a reason to justify the fact that they rescheduled it, 3 times. But in any case, there were a lot of people that were off sick from work that day. So it was something else, man. It really was. And it was quite an experience to be there. Really, it was something else. Words can't really put it into words.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been to a duck boat parade. I've never been to a full-on boat parade. That's what we do in Boston with any team. We got the duck boats that go around the Charles River and then through the streets of Boston.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of parades here.
What is the duck? You talking about the thing you paddle with your feet? Is that what a duck boat is? What is it?
No.
The duck boats start in land and then go in water.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, I got
They're
you now.
Multi-terrain vehicles. It's a tourist trap in Boston, and then they use it anytime Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics win a championship. They use it. So, yeah. But that one was all.
It had been a long time since we'd won a championship here, and the first 2 parades were traditional parades. Whether or not they decided to do this type of boat parade because of COVID, or they were going to do it anyway, I don't know. But hopefully there's more championships here in the future, and regardless of what the scenario is, they should continue to do boat parades. It's just Tampa. It is such an embodiment, I couldn't think of the word, of the area to do a boat parade like that.
Yeah.
And that was no disrespect to the parades 2002 and 2004 for the Bucks and Bolts, but these were just remarkable, both of them. So it should be a tradition here, and hopefully there's more parades for our teams to come. In quite a year, man. Quite a year for Tampa sports.
Yeah. Y'all been living it up.
It's about time. We've waited a long time, man.
Yeah.
A lot of losing. Brutal losing in so many ways. Yeah. And Mike was having such a great time at that parade, man. All of them were. But him and Chris and it's just hilarious. Chris's phone dropped in the Hillsborough River.
Scotty Miller dropped it. Yeah.
Scotty Miller. And then he's like, "No, I was trying to save Scotty. We didn't want." He was like, "I can replace a phone. I can't replace Scotty." So that was a great line by Chris right there. It was.
And then it was
a real time.
Brady at the end of it, like seeing him getting carried, like that was. Awesome.
Let me ask you. You followed Brady's career for so long. You've seen him in so many championship parades. Has he ever looked like that before at the end of a parade? No. I was thinking that I'd never seen Tom Brady like that. Not that I'd followed as close, but I've seen him win. I'd never seen him quite like that before.
There's a lot of stories of him and his drinking prowess. Like he outdrank his whole O-line at I forget what year it was, but it was early in his career. He was trying to prove himself. There's a lot of stories out there about his drinking ability, but never seen him like that. And, much as I love the Patriots and the Krafts and Belichick, I think being out from the Patriot way and the iron fist that Belichick kind of keeps on him, like, it was cool seeing him this year with all how he was with the media and on social media. I mean, those Tommy and Grunky things that the Bucks put out, like, those were fucking hilarious. It would never happen in Foxborough.
That one that they kept playing over and over again with them two just looking at each other and laughing. That shit, I watched it like 100 times on loop. That shit was funny.
And it's great seeing him so relaxed, and he's saying he wants to play till 45, and then people are saying he's going to play till 50. I think his natural work ethic coupled with the freedom and being a little bit more relaxed in Tampa under Arians and the Lights and Blazers, who knows? Like, we could see the bastard play till he's 50.
From what I've dealt with, from Steve DeBerg all the way to Jameis Winston, that motherfucker can play till he can be 60 out there with wrinkles. I don't give a shit. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all in, man. Keep pumping that TB12 method into him, and you might be able to add a 0 onto the 12, and that's how long we'll see him play for, 120 years. Why not? He's still playing at an elite level. And that brings me to another topic. I keep saying we're going to wrap up, but now I want to talk about something else quick before we wrap up. That jersey in the background, tell us a little bit about that story. I know that's a feel-good story with that Brady jersey.
Yeah, so we as everybody only went to the last Saints game in the regular season, which was a week or two before Thanksgiving, or a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. We brought the baby to that one. I'll send y'all some cool pictures of her. You know, she was 3 or 4 weeks old. And we took a private jet over there to avoid the COVID and everything, and in a private suite, like spoiled little brat that our daughter is. But I left with the baby. They said they were going shopping. I didn't think anything of it because they're women, they always shop. And then, so Thanksgiving Day, I was telling y'all earlier, I do a big thing on Thanksgiving Day. For giving out food to the less fortunate. Thanksgiving week is extremely busy for me. I mean, the weekend before and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's like 18-hour days just getting everything done. And then on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, we went down to Kia's mom's house, Kia and Mikey's mom's house in Galveston. And I'm exhausted and sit down to eat, and Heather, their mom, brings that jersey out, which it says to Scott, best always, Tom Brady, and y'all can tell that I'm not ever really short for words, but when they gave that to me, I was just like speechless. But yeah, that's it was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, and we lost you for a minute there. It says to Scott, best wishes, Tom Brady, right?
To Scott, best always, Tom Brady. Yeah.
That's amazing, especially being a Patriots fan, now a Bucs fan. It all comes full circle. And that pewter especially. I like that pewter. How did they pick that pewter?
So, Cody, I think I was texting with you about it. My wife and my mother-in-law, they had an argument about what color shirt they should get because of what color I look good in. Like, I'm never going to wear that fucking thing. Like, and I don't know who decided on getting the pewter, but I'm glad that they did. Like, I almost wish they had gotten the creamsicle because that would have been really fucking cool. But of the white and the red and the pewter is, the pewter's the best.
Yeah, I think pewter is upper. I love the pewter. It's one of my favorite looking jerseys. At first, I was like, is it going to be sweet? Nah, it's sweet. When you see that thing, it's sweet. It's really cool. I have a Ronald Jones pewter that I wear, so it's pretty cool. Guys, Buccateers, it's been a hell of a night. Looks like we lost Bucco. Any last words and thoughts as we wrap up? We'll start with the crew, Katz and Cody, before we end with Scott. It's been another great one. What say you guys?
Yeah, Scott, we really appreciate you joining us, bringing more insight as well to the podcast. It really has been, it's been fun having you. It's been a fun couple weeks. It's been almost a month now. And, it's amazing is not one day goes by where I don't watch some sort of highlights from that game or this past season. So, it's one of my favorites actually was when Mike was mic'd up after the NFC title game. And they said, the ceremony this week. He goes, there's a ceremony? I'm sorry, I'm new at this stuff, man. I'm thinking, man, it's been a while for me too. I haven't done it in a long time. I was like, that's right. When we last won the NFC, there was a ceremony. I'd forgotten too, honestly. So I was like, I'm right there with you, Mike. Like, oh yeah, that's right. We get a ceremony now. I'm like, are we allowed to do the same ceremony as usual? And sure enough, you did. And you actually get to see a Glazer when something good happens for us, which hasn't been too often. So yeah, every day I watch something, seems.
Yeah, just it's cool because there's like always stuff on the TV, and every time like even like a little bit of the draft stuff, it'll pop up like, and your NFL champion Buccaneers. Like I'm with Scott, it's still like it hasn't completely fully set in for me for some reason. Like it just I don't know, man.
It feels like there's more out there, It feels like, we've still got another game or something.
Just a weird year. I think the COVID and like the low attendance, even though I went to Tampa twice this year, which is more than like I normally would, like it's just a weird year. I don't know. I'm just really glad it worked out the way it did, obviously. Looking forward to the draft, free agency. Hope we get our guys back. And Scott, I definitely appreciate you coming on. I know we talk on the phone, Twitter, a couple times a week. Anybody not following Scott should definitely follow Scott. Awesome dude. And yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, Scott, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully we can get you back on down the road in the future to chat some ball or even, some MMA maybe down the road eventually. So we could get into a couple fun things, a couple fun topics. It's been incredible having you. It's been a really fun time. We do appreciate you taking your time out to hang out with us. It's been really cool. And, it opened up some perspective, and it was cool hearing some inside stories about somebody so close to Mike Evans, but not only Mike Evans, someone doing so much great things for the community. Scott, we thank you so much for your time tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate being on, allowing me into the Bucs fandom, even though I'm a newbie. Not a bandwagon like a lot of Patriots fans are. I've been around for a little while. I mean, Cody, you and I have known each other for, I don't know, a couple of years now. I think
years, yeah.
Probably through MMA Twitter, not even through Bucs Twitter.
I think it was MMA first, and then we kind of put the rest of it together. Weird how things work out, isn't it? The people you meet, why you meet it, I don't know. Life's funny like that.
That DM you sent me after the interview with the local guy, you're like, wait a minute, are you?
Yeah,
like sister.
I didn't even. I don't know. That was really weird. It was like eye opening for me. I was like reading it, and I'm like, wait, Scott. I know Scott. I talk to Scott all the time, and then I'm like, I had to read it like 5 times to like click in my head. I'm like, hold up, I've been talking to him forever.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's weird. Most people are like, I'm not gonna call anybody out, but I don't know. Most people handle stuff like that differently, I guess, name dropping, stuff like that. But
I don't go throwing it out there. I'm me, he's him. I married his sister. But we're different entities, and a lot of people will associate like, oh, you're Mike Evans' brother-in-law. And like, yes, I am, but I'm 40 years old. I've only known him for 7 years. So, yeah, I don't go throwing it out there like you said. A lot of people do that. They live on the clout and fame of other people.
No, Scott, that's what you should start doing. Hey, I'm Scott Nolan, Mike Evans' brother-in-law. How you doing? Hey, I'm Scott Nolan. I'm Mike Evans' brother-in-law. How you? No, I'm so glad you're not one of those people. Not saying there's anything wrong with those type of people, but it's really cool seeing, just chill guys, even knowing somebody like that or related to. My mom, her first, she had some cousins who, my mom's mom, I'm sorry, my grandma had first cousins who played in the NFL, quarterbacks, and, she was like, same as you, I barely even knew that they played football until I got a little older and they explained the whole thing to me. But yeah, you know, we had football in our bloodline, same thing. It's like you're not going to use that as a talking point. That's why we love you, Scott. You're just one of the guys. You're a cool dude, down to earth, and we thank you so much for everything tonight and the future and what you're doing, man. We're honored to have you.
Thank you, guys. The pleasure was all mine, and we'll definitely do it again. You know, at some point down the road. We're hitting the doldrums of the football season now.
Yeah. It's time for film. As Kat said, there's something to always watch. Or, you know, there every day I find myself watching something from the 2020 season. I got to get used to saying last season. As Cody says, it feels like the mission's not complete. There's something more out there. I don't know. I'm not in off-season mode. I'll never get used to being in off-season mode until preseason. If we even have a preseason. Until we see football again, I won't be you know, I don't think it'll sink in until I see the Raymond James Stadium decorations, yada, 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 Super Bowl champions. But nonetheless, it's been a fucking fantastic night on the Buccateers. At this point, I'm just jibber-jabbing. We're going to wrap things up here. We're going to enjoy our nights. It's been Scott Nolan, A Katz, Cody G, and Tampa Tones, along with Bucco the Bruce for segments. He's been in and out. It's been a fun time with the 4.5 of us. We look forward to next Tuesday. We're unsure the crew yet, or next Wednesday the episode will be out. But we'll be back next week with another fantastic Buccateers episode. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Bucks.
Bucks.